So as I said, I did not watch Great Balls of Fire, mostly because since I wanted to get a fresh start, especially with SummerSlam approaching. So tonight I'm returning to Raw at the time of this production of the video, and I'm here to talk about one match in particular. Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman in an ambulance match. Don't worry, I'll get to the two other top matches at Great Balls of Fire. Great Balls of Fire! So, okay, this build-up happened mostly around the fact that Strowman got hurt, and it was said he was going to be inactive for 6 months, and everyone was mad about that. Like, some people would be blaming Roman Reigns. That's kind of predictable by now, because, you know, everything's Roman Reigns' fault in terms of, since, you know, he has no political influence like certain other stars. Yet, at least. Until it's said otherwise, then we can just stop with that. Strowman required surgery for its shattered elbow and was expected to be inactive for up to 6 months. Therefore, his plans for the Universal Championship were scrapped. His opportunities he was going to be given was going to be scrapped most likely. Everyone was in despair about this, and I was angry. I wasn't mad at WWE. I wasn't mad at Roman Reigns. I was wrestling. This is a physically tolling business, so it's to be expected. Later that night, then on the June 19th episode of Raw, Roman Reigns had proclaimed himself to be the #1 contender for the Universal Championship at SummerSlam, and later in the night, during a match between Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns, Strowman shocked, and I use that term loosely, the world when it was revealed he had indeed in fact returned. It wasn't shocking because then we heard for about a few days after he was reported to be missing action is that WWE was lying about the whole amount of time he was missing just so they can make his return look badass. But yeah, that doesn't work to an extent. So later that night, when Strowman returned in an ambulance, causing Roman Reigns his match against Samoa Joe, Roman was attacked by Strowman and challenged him to an ambulance match at Great Balls of Fire. The following week, Reigns accepted the challenge and an ambulance appeared on stage. Reigns went to investigate. Not a good idea. But Strowman attacked him and put him in the ambulance. On the final episode of Raw before Great Balls of Fire, Strowman attempted to put Apollo Crews, who had just been defeated, and a spectacular big boot to the attempted moonsault. Standing moonsault. Yeah, that was honestly impressive. Who he had just defeated in an ambulance. But as he opened the door, Reigns was in the ambulance and attacked Strowman. The two brawled that ended with Reigns spearing Strowman off the stage, and both crashed through a table and boxes. So after this, like at the build-up, like I was expecting greatness, mostly because, well, there was so little time since Strowman was injured and they were giving time for him to recover in time for this matchup. And it looked like it was finally back on track. Like Strowman was going to beat Roman Reigns, go to SummerSlam, fight Brock Lesnar, and then move onwards to do whatever else. No idea what those plans after SummerSlam were. I probably would have not been surprised if he just gave him 6 months of a push and then just gave up after like 30 seconds after losing to Brock Lesnar. So yeah, but then we got a report that indicated that Roman Reigns was indeed going to challenge Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam for the Universal Championship. And the reason for this is because originally the plan was for Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. They changed that idea because Brock Lesnar wasn't being a good Universal Champion to the company in terms of appearances. Oh boy, you would think that they had learned their lesson by now. Like, they would have to accommodate the lack of a world title for Raw with better storylines, go up to 11, but they didn't do that, from what I've heard. Like, except for 2 storylines, and one of them was a mid-card storyline. One was a main event storyline between Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe had to do most of the work, in my opinion. So anyways, we finally get to the match at Great Balls of Fire. It's the second to last match before the main event. And yeah, they turned the physicality to up to 11. I really enjoyed this match. And Braun Strowman at times looked weak, and then he looked strong, and then Roman Reigns was being this gladiator trying to defeat this monstrous beast. David versus Goliath to an extent, except David was the quote pretty boy that goes ahead and makes every woman faint, including Vince McMahon, to lose his mind, saying he is perfect. So yeah, Goliath, aka Braun Strowman, like when Braun Strowman was getting hit by the chair in the arm and he just shrugged it off like that was nothing, I was like, okay, that was actually kind of awesome. And then Strowman yelled out to put the icing on the cake and say like, "Hit me again, you son of a bitch!" And I'm like, oh, he said the B word! Oh, we must hide the children! Their fragile minds cannot handle cursing! That's about as realistic as how when female characters in video games are, with their sexualization, is harming children despite the fact that child abuse is still a thing. Oh wait, that actually happened once. Alpha Megacin talked about that. Yeah, anyways. Moving on. Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns tore the house down. Like, it wasn't like... Okay, it's hard to say if this was their best match together. It's really hard to say. I still think their Fastlane match was better. But, yeah, they were given 16 minutes and 35 seconds in this match. The top match of the show was Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Hardy Boys. And Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe, I'll get to that when I get to that. And I'll talk about Cesaro and Sheamus and the Hardy Boys later on. But Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, they tore the house down as best they could with the amount of time they were given. And I really did love the way this match ended. Roman Reigns tries to spear Braun Strowman, and instead of spearing Strowman into the ambulance, Strowman backs out of the way, and Roman Reigns just flies into it. And then Strowman closes the door. I actually like that because it kind of protected Roman Reigns. It kind of showed this overconfidence, like he was this confident near the end. And it also gives Strowman a sense of cunning to it. Like, oh yeah, that was actually pretty smart. I actually thought it was a smart thing. And then we got to what happened after the match. When Roman Reigns attempted murder. Yeah. Yeah, Roman Reigns attempted to murder Braun Strowman on the grounds of losing a match. Yeah. You see, Braun Strowman, after he got victory over Roman Reigns, clean I must add, yeah, it kind of shows you that how Vince McMahon will give special privileges to certain guys he's obsessed with their physique. It's a disturbing fetish, but it's his fetish, so I'm not going to criticize him on that unless he does something incredibly stupid one day, like give political power to a wrestler. Wait, he kind of did that already. Yeah, anyways. Braun Strowman is speared by Roman Reigns after he got out of the ambulance, and Roman Reigns is pissed off. He's destroying everything in his path now, and he drags the carcass of Braun Strowman into the ambulance, then gets in the ambulance seat and drives off, and then he's just looking into the mirror, like trying to look at something from behind, and I was like, oh no way, they're really gonna do this. They're really gonna do this in the PG era, or the politically correct era. And sure enough, it happened. Roman Reigns slammed on the reverse brake and crashed into the semi-truck with Strowman inside. Yes, and Roman Reigns got out, crawled away, much to Kurt Angle's anger. So that's going to be interesting what's going to happen with Kurt Angle and Roman Reigns. And they are trying to get Braun Strowman out of that ambulance. And predominantly, the other thing that happened that's kind of a big black eye a bit is the fact that Heath Slater and Kurt Hawkins had a match afterwards, even though that wasn't advertised. Yeah, Finn Balor wasn't on the pay-per-view. That's actually pretty disappointing. Yeah. Yeah, like this match. Yeah, the match was pretty useless for Heath Slater and Kurt Hawkins. Like they could just cut to commercial since they do that on the network now with all these advertisements and whatnot. They could just do that and then do the fire department coming in and getting Strowman out. And Strowman, okay, yeah, I can't tell, but it looked like to me that they did a double turn. But it's hard to say with Vince McMahon's WWE currently running amok with wrestlers running the asylum and imbeciles being the head of the asylum. Never done. Strowman gets up, walks away under his own power barely. He's bleeding profusely in the arm, in the eye, and that's most likely staged, but it'd be kind of awesome. But it's still awesome. But, Strowman walked away under his own power, and I'm like, he is the heel in this, right? This is the confusing thing when it comes to Roman Reigns. The heels are made to look like the good guys, and when the heels do actually do something bad, the fans love it because it's Roman Reigns is getting the receiving end of a beatdown. Yeah, I'm surprised beat up Roman Reigns is not trending like beat up John Cena. Though, of course, that does sound more authentic than beat up Roman Reigns because everyone wants to see that. Well, they do want to see John Cena, but except AJ Styles made the wording sound so cool. Beat up John Cena! So, yeah, this match was awesome. The aftermath was the defining moment of this matchup, and it shows that this feud between them is not over. It was surprising that Roman Reigns lost, actually, especially clean, because he is supposedly going to gear up for a match against Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, and you would think with this logic they would make him look strong, as inhumanly as possible. Notice I said inhumanly, because that's what they do. But no, they didn't do that, so I was surprised by that. And I think the main reason is because they want to give the clarity that Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman's not going to be done yet. Like, Strowman's going to be off for a bit, possibly. Maybe show up again before SummerSlam. Okay, personally, I would pay to see Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, and maybe Samoa Joe in a Fatal 4 match for the Universal Championship. I will want that as the alternative, as the best case scenario. The other best case scenario is a triple threat match with Strowman, Reigns, and Lesnar. If Samoa Joe can't do it. So, yeah, that's my hope that we get that at SummerSlam. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate, and stay tuned for more.